Okay, now that we took our small break, we can kind of resume.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the main things I did want to ask you, kind of reflecting off of everything we did talk about, um, with the purpose of this session in mind, if 0 was the worst that your problem could ever be, right? And 10 is the best a situation could be. What number would you give your past situation with your family dynamics?
Hmm. That's a good question. Um. Hmm. I guess I have. Hmm. I'll say a 6,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not because of anything financial, because we had anything going. Because if I just spoke about things that we had or didn't have, the haves or the have-nots, it would definitely be like a 4 because, we didn't, when I, in our childhood, I saw my mom have to scrape sometimes, and, there'd be times where, you know, she would go without meals to help us eat, and I would lie to her and tell her that I ate so she could eat, but I actually didn't eat. So, I can't really just say that in that aspect it's a 6, but at the same time, it's a 6 because our family dynamics, because we didn't have much, it made us closer. Because people tend to think that having everything is everything, and it actually is nothing when you don't have the proper family dynamics. So we didn't have as much as everybody else, but because we didn't have as much as everybody else, it brought us closer as a family. So we're inseparable. So am I grateful that we didn't have as much? To a certain extent, I am. Because, and that's why I say a 6. Yeah, it could have been better. Yeah, I could have. I wish that my father was present in the household, or I wish that we didn't have to grow up in the certain areas that we grew up in because of the crime or because of the lack of certain disadvantages that we had. But at the same time, that doesn't take away from our bond. So I think that's what's more important to me, as far as I wouldn't say that that finances and things of that nature were important to me at the time. It was just family, and even now we're in a way better spot than we were when we were before. Um, but even with that, even if we still didn't have that, it wouldn't change how we were or how we still are as a family. So that's why I say I have to do it. I have to give it a 6 because it could have certain things and certain aspects of life could have been way better, but because our family dynamic was so strong, it helped all of us get through that. Because I feel like if we didn't have such a strong family dynamic, it would have our lives would have turned out way worse. And things wouldn't have been for the better; it would have been for the worse. So, yeah.
But it sounds like you've got a really close knit family.
Yeah.
Do you define them as one of your biggest support systems as a young adult today?
Biggest support systems, and it's simply because they recognize everything. And it's not to pat myself on the back because I didn't do this for recognition, but they recognize everything that I've done when I was younger. So now when I'm older and now that I'm older and kind of, dream chasing, as far as with owning my own shop and, getting my license and things of that nature, they know that, hey, it's your time. Now we want to give back to you because you've done so much for us. And, that goes even for my mother. That's why I want to get my own shop, because even to the point where, even though I've done so much to help her out, she's still done way more and sacrificed way more to help us have a better life. Because my mother's, quick story about my mother's dynamics. She didn't grow up in the best, family dynamics. Drugs was around her, which is why she had to go to the foster care, and you know she was 18. She was a ward of the state, and she made sure that her children never had to grow up in that aspect of life because she knows what it felt like. So that's one of the biggest, other than like other than just having God in our lives and things of that nature. That's probably another one of the biggest aspects of life is her saying that I'm not gonna put my kids through what I went through, and that's what made me just say, you know what, I respect that and I want to give that back to you. So yeah, they are definitely like a big support system, big one, if not the biggest support system that I have. And that's just my family. Because it's not to say that I discredit everybody else that is a support system. Because I have friends and I have my girlfriend and but at the same time, these are the people that I grew up with. These are the people that know me more than anybody else know me, and these are the people that I have been with my entire life. And at the same time, these are the people that I know are going to be behind me through whatever because they know I'm behind them. So they know. So they know I'm behind them through whatever. So yeah, that's how our family dynamics works, and I definitely know that they are a big support system for me.
For sure. It sounds like you've got an amazing family, and they have pursued and been persistent through everything that they've gone through too, individually as well with you. In reference to the question I asked before, kind of rating from 1 to 10, or 0 to 10, 0 being the worst and 10 being the best, how would you rate your situation with your family now, since you were speaking on that y'all are in a better place now? What would you say it is now?
It's definitely definitely like an 8.5, 9. I don't know if a halves count, but 8 or 9, definitely, because we still have that same family dynamic, but we're in way better spots. We're not necessarily, and then the reason why I say an 8 or 9 is we're not living in regards to survival. We're living in regards to just enjoying life. Because there's a certain level of enjoyment that you lose when you're starting to work or move or do things in regards to survival. But now we're in a place where we're not necessarily trying to just survive anymore. It's we're thriving now, a little bit, and we still have a ways to go, but it's not as bad as what we were before.
Right.
Everybody's in their own different elements. Everybody's doing their own different things, and just to see the transition that changed from when we were younger and didn't have much to now that everybody's doing everything, and and doing their own thing. It's kind of man, it's like overwhelming. It's like an overwhelming joy because I've seen everything, and just to see that the change from surviving to thriving is something that is why I say it's like definitely a solid 9. So yeah.
It sounds like you're very proud of how far your family has come.
Yeah, most definitely. Because there's so many adversities that we've gone through, whether it be certain mistakes that we've made or just the lack of, as far as like lack of a father or lack of finances or a lack of surroundings as far as proper surroundings or education or just certain things like that. We've had to figure out our own way, because we figured out our own way, we figured out how to, I guess, not depend on anything else but each other. And since we all have each other, and that's why the support system is so strong, because we all know how to figure out different ways to get through different things. So yeah.
Well, it's amazing. That's amazing. So is there any other ideas, feelings, or thoughts you have about your childhood, and even fast forward to now, that you would like to express before we conclude this interview today?
Um, I think if I was if I was able to, they have the slogan where if you were able to go back to where you were and tell yourself who, if you were able to go back and tell your younger self, I think the only thing I would probably tell my younger self is just kind of uh, take on don't take on too many responsibilities. Only do what you can, but make sure you're still able to help. You know, and also. Uh, it's not your fault, because sometimes I had a little bit of guilt, like, oh, well, maybe, if I'm not, you're doing it, not necessarily my fault, but you're doing enough for your age. Don't stress about not being able to do as much as you want to do, because I'm 9 years old talking about I want to make $100,000 so I can. What 9 years old? Well, maybe now, but it's kind of hard to back in the late '90s, early 2000s to say for a child 9 years old to make $100,000. So why am I putting that much stress on myself? And just telling myself, hey, do what a 9-year-old can do. Do all that a 9-year-old can do in regards to helping your mother out, but don't beat yourself up if you can't do everything. And then and probably tell my younger self, like, you turned out okay, like you turned out good. Yeah, you recognize so many adversities that your mom had and things of that nature, but you turned out fine. You turned out okay. So yeah,
it's a good reflection to have to be able to speak on, that you came from a place and you're here now, and you can reflect on the good and the bad, and you kind of sum it up together and make that part of you, and you grow, you know. Well, I appreciate taking your time today, for you taking your time to kind of talk to me and kind of work through this as well. And if there's anything you would ever like to add or talk any other time, just please reach out and just let me know, okay?
Yes, ma'am. We'll do.
Awesome. Thank you for
so much.
talking to me today.
Thank you. You have a good day.
Thank you. You too.